Alright, I think I'm catching a bit of a cold, so my voice might be a bit weird in this video, but let's ignore that for the time being. What I want to talk about today is one of the more frustrating things that we encounter when we're talking about traditional martial arts and defending stuff like standing wrist locks or whatever. I'll primarily focus on standing wrist locks right now. The argument often goes like this. Nah, standing wrist locks suck. They're not really a thing. For them to be a real thing, show me consistent standing wrist locks in a sport martial art. And then we show this, like this, maybe even that. And unfortunately, more often than not, the response is, oh, that's that like sport aikido thing. Oh, that's just like bad judo. Calling Tomiki Aikido bad judo is like calling BJJ bad wrestling, or vice versa. But also it's besides the point, because the point wasn't about how good Tomiki Aikido is of a combat sport. It was, do we see standing wrist locks in sport? And of course we do. A better argument would be, why do we then see standing wrist locks being so rarely performed outside of like Tomiki Aikido or generally arts like those? Because it obviously still doesn't have the same amount of footage like a simple double leg or a hip throw. And it's always the simple thing of it being a lower percentage technique. That's all. And you know how we see a lot of standing wrist lock stuff showcase for like self-defense and stuff like that? Especially in Tomiki when they use it against like Tanto, against the fake knife thing. Even if it's not what you're supposed to do when you're being attacked by a knife. Because honestly, you're not supposed to do that. That's a good way to get yourself killed. That, in fact, doesn't mean that the mechanics of those techniques are wrong. We can take the most banal example of this. Think about any part of the world, like any historical period, like knights fighting in Europe, or Japan, sword fighters, or whatever. We know that often, if two swordsmen would clash and lose their sword, they would go for a dagger. Now, what are your options in that situation? Imagine that both of you lost your weapon and your opponent just drew a dagger. You're on the battlefield. The likelihood of you surviving is already so low that why wouldn't you just try to disarm that dagger? Today, where life is much different, warfare is much different, it makes no sense for you to go for a knife in like an actual street self-defense situation. If somebody was threatening me with a knife, I'd give him everything he wants. No reason to risk it. But back in the day on the battlefield, you're already likely gonna die, and this is your only thing that you can try to do. Why wouldn't you go for a disarm lock? You've already signed up for the worst thing happening. Like either you're just gonna get stabbed, or you're gonna try to disarm it and still get stabbed, or you'll actually disarm it. So there's much more to martial arts and all kinds of techniques than it seems on surface. So anyways, yeah, that's about it for this video, and I'll let you guys discuss it down in the comments. But yeah, that's it. Take care, and thanks for watching.